All right, good afternoon. We are live today. We're going to be talking about turning passion to profit, especially today. We're going to be a little bit different in talking to the moms and the dads more specifically than or actually stuff for the moms and the dads more specifically than the things for your kiddos. And so we'll be talking about turning passion to profit for a pathway for homeschool moms and homeschool dads. So we are going to, I'm going to go over some material here just a little bit. We're actually teaching this same material or something very similar to this next week at the local event here. So those of you that are in Birmingham, you could hunt down the Hoover Library. We'll be there. Uh, so, but let's see if there's anything. Okay, that was it. I just want to make sure we got that covered. So, all right, again, today what we're talking about is profit from passions. Finding ways to take the things we enjoy doing and making money out of it. And we wanted to do something that was geared toward the homeschool mom, the homeschool parent, and instead of talking about math and courses that we take for parents, because the reality is a lot of us, when our kids start to graduate, in a sense that we also have graduated and some of the responsibilities that we have are left. I talk to a lot of moms that want to go back to the corporate world. They want to start doing something to earn money. Some of them don't want to go back to the corporate world, never were in the corporate world. And so we just want to look at what some of your options are, in particular related to what we might call, for the fancy word, entrepreneurship. So what we're going to look at is three things: discovering a business idea that fits you, and finding and narrowing down that niche, and then taking the first steps to get launched. And so we're going to talk through the process. And what I'm going to talk to today is what many people have done, and they've done exactly what we're going to do today. They're going to, so I will say it's not magic. I just got off of a webinar with somebody who started off a company not too long ago. And she was reminding me that when she was working with me doing this, it was not as hard and complicated and crazy as she thought it was going to be. It was just get started. And that was her secret message out, is we should just get started. So let's kind of walk through a step or two. Is first of all, we want to be discovering a business idea for you is the key. And the mistake I see a lot of people make is they go off and they chase something that they see somebody else. Here's what Sally or Bob did, and it looks like they're really successful, or they get enamored by what they see on Facebook or Instagram or other platforms and think that they need to do the same thing. Well, really what we want to do is think about emphasizing your God-given talents. What are the things that you are already lit up about? What are some things that you're passionate about? And so think about, what do you genuinely enjoy doing? So, that's the key factors here. What are you doing already? What do you really love doing? What do others ask you for help with or compliment you on? So they could be things that you consider. As a matter of fact, they are likely to be things that you consider insignificant. For instance, if a mom is sitting there and she likes to quilt or knit, and I don't know the difference, but we'll call it knitting. If she likes to knit, and that's the thing that she just enjoys doing. She buys products like this. Here's another clue: where do you spend your money on Amazon? What are you shopping for? Because whatever you have as a hobby, you're probably buying the stuff for. She likes to do that. She could turn the knitting into making some products. And this is where the Etsy model flows into, right? But there's a business idea there. If you had a knack for lesson plans, and many of you have got or developed a lot of ability in putting together lesson plans, putting together material for your students as they've grown up through the years. And you saw a lot of stuff that you liked, you didn't like, and you modified. So there's a whole community out there for people doing just that. For those who want to stay in the homeschooling community, for instance, or just the educational community, to do digital downloads, creating stuff. Creating lesson plans is a big one I see on the website Teachers Pay Teachers, which isn't limited to homeschool. It's a model for teachers helping other teachers. Is just what it says. Another one that we see that you might have is a strong background in tutoring or your ability to help and doing tutoring services. We actually have somebody we help do that. She wasn't even a homeschool mom. She was actually exiting the teacher world officially, and she decided to become a tutor. And she does everything online, very much like what we're doing right now. And she tutors people doing that. And she got started very simply, and she's now making money and consistent, controls her own schedule, does all the fun stuff out of that. But if you're a former professional in the sense that you worked for corporate, maybe there is a opportunity for you to go back in as consultant, which the consultant is a fancy word for saying I'm doing things on my own, and I am doing it on my own time and own way, instead of somebody else's schedule. And a lot of people I've noticed that have been out of the work world for a number of years feel like when they go back in, they tiptoe back in very cautiously, as if they have nothing to offer. And by the way, when you go into the world that way, that's how it perceives you, right? But that's just so far from the truth. Some things, technologies and all may have changed, but the stuff still's got to be done. And with all of your experience running a homeschool, which is not trivial, you actually bring a lot to the table. So here's some concrete things that we get people to do. If we're in a workshop together, we actually get out a sheet of paper and we start writing down things we love to do. And it can be just very similar to the career finding things for our kids. Just start making a long list of things you're passionate about and skilled in. And again, one of the biggest clues is, what do people ask you for help with? And we just start writing these things down. And I'll give you a case in point of a company. There was a young couple. I don't think they were homeschool graduates in a sense, but they had children that they could not get to go to bed at night. I know none of us have ever experienced that. And they started trying different things and kind of got interested in what will work and what will not work. And they realized that was kind of a fun thing for them to try to play with this. Whatever they did with their children was successful, and they started helping friends, and friends would ask them, how do you do that? And they would tell them. The friends wouldn't listen, or the friends would think it was overcomplicated, and they were thinking, that's so silly. That can't work. It does work, and they created a business out of that. But it's such a simple thing, right? Helping to teach your kids to get to go to bed at night. That's a multi-million-dollar company, by the way, that I'm talking about. It's a practical need, everyday thing. So think about the skills that meet a need. So we just talked about that skill. It could be anything: homeschooling materials, teaching. Maybe you have a unique way of teaching something. You can cook. If you're somebody who likes to cook, a lot of people have done amazing things with just the cooking world. So, but it could be anything. You see models out there where you see on Pinterest and Etsy, and even on Amazon these days, where you see all kinds of opportunities. And so what you want to do is just start getting things from your head and start doing what we would say generating some momentum, getting them out of your head and start thinking about what it is you would like to do, and experiment and start going on to some of these websites and see what the demand is. You can go to Etsy, you can go to Amazon, you can go to these websites and see, are people buying this? You know, when you go to Etsy, for instance, if you do the knitted baby quilts or something, I'm not sure that knitting and quilting going together, but you do some quilts or some things for babies that are using fabric. Let me say that. You you can go on Etsy and see how many of these are selling, because it tells you how many they've sold, and you get some sense for the model. You can actually do a little research and see what's very popular on Etsy. So, but and it doesn't have to be. These are arts and crafty type things that I'm talking about, which is usually where people start. But it doesn't have to be anything arts and crafty. It could be a service you're providing. You could just the tutoring, for example, is a service you're providing. We have seen somebody, like, for instance, that she was a mother of diabetic children. I think she had one or two children that were diabetic, and the kids were now older and had moved out and were, you know, doing their things in their own life. But as a mom dealing with that, and you're already dealing with the chaos of having teenagers and just dealing with that extra thing and special diets and special needs and things that you have to deal with. She created a business coaching other moms how to successfully manage life and continue to have a crazy life with kids with diabetics, and very successful coaching business where she was just really helping moms, because she recognized for herself that medical professionals didn't do that. They couldn't answer her basic questions like, what do I do at the school? What do I do when they got to go to football games? What do I do at these sporting events? What do I do with sleepovers? You know, that's not their thing. They could just say, here's what medicine to give or not give, and here's what to eat or not eat. And they didn't even do that very well. So anyway, so point is, you want to find some idea, and don't get too worried about it up front. Just get to the idea. The second thing we want to do, though, is narrow down the niche, as we would say. You want to get clear of who you're selling to and clear of the audience. If you've ever been to a homeschooling convention, you will recognize, well, all the people there are probably homeschoolers. And so there's a niche, but there's actually multiple niches going on there. There are people there with kids that are younger. And from my experience, most of the homeschool conventions are usually parents of the younger children, usually parents that don't have as much experience homeschooling, because if they do, they tend not to show up there as much. But you can see multiple niches: kids that are interested in arts, for kids that are interested in STEM type careers, for kids that are interested in just anything under the sun. So you'll see these particular niches, and who are you selling to? And one way to look at niches is, what Facebook groups are there that talk to that niche? And so we're looking at, is there a Facebook group for knitting for homeschool moms with teenagers? There probably is a group like that. So you start thinking about, who are you selling to? So a friend of mine, he was teaching baseball. He was creating some products on how to be successful in baseball. He had played college ball and not successful enough, in his words, to be in the pros. So he started looking at who would pay attention to him as an expert. And he realized, well, it was high school dads who wanted their sons to get college scholarships. Now, he had that experience. And so that's his audience. He was talking baseball. Would it have worked for younger kids? Yes. Would it have worked for college kids? Yes. But he was teaching baseball, and his target audience was to the dads who were trying to get their children college scholarships. And so lots of nuances there in terms of who he was selling to, but he was trying to make the kids better in baseball, so they were better at doing that. Also a very successful business. Uh, but you do see a lot of artisan products here. You see a lot of tutoring going on in this place. But again, you're thinking about specifically who it is, what's the age. So if you were tutoring, for instance, for math, you might tutor only. I'm only going to do the high school years. I'm only going to do certain subjects, and you make that specific to people. And you may be specific to. I'm only going to work with people who are struggling in math or who are excelling in math. This is a nervous topic for a lot of people who are starting companies because they think, well, I'm going to limit who I'm talking to. And yes, you are. But it's easier for you to target and get in front of just that perfect group of people than it is for you to talk to the world. And you can expand out very easily. Everybody dives to niches. I mean, even Facebook. So we're on Facebook. Facebook started as a platform on a college campus for the students. And if I had to guess, I don't know the whole story, but if I had to guess, they probably actually started with students in a certain field. And they probably started really small in their story because you got to get people on the platform talking and then grow it and talking and then grow it and talking. It wasn't an international worldwide phenomenon on day one. It grew out from there. So they started with a niche. Many products that we love today started with a very focused target market. Chick-fil-A even has a very tight niche even today. You just don't always know who they're at. And that's the niche that they're advertising to. All right, so we're going to go on to step 3. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of think about a business idea, and then we want to niche down who we're selling it to. And this helps you think through, okay, what am I going to sell? What am I going to do? So while I'm saying that, in the they've put over, or she's put in the chat, thank you. There is coupons for our what is that for our entrepreneurship 101 course, which is where it teaches this stuff in a lot more detail and goes through all the other steps. And also for the how money works and career planning courses, which do some related activities, not quite that's this specific. Okay, step 3, we want to actually take the first steps to launch. Now, my suggestion to you is, if you seriously are looking at doing something, is to get through these first 2 steps pretty quickly and start. And that was what I was on this call I was just on. She told me, she said, the key was just to get started, and you figure it out along the way. There's no perfect path. You just start doing something. You start saying, I can help you with this, and this is what I charge. Or I've made this product, and here it is. Buy it from me. And you just learn and you grow. And because when you start, no matter how much planning you put into it, if you put 6 months of planning or 6 minutes of planning, you get the same result: slow growth. And then you just have to pay attention and to adjust. You're not going to 6 months of planning isn't going to get you faster growth. So step 3 here is what we want to do is take this first step. You want to start small. You want to be very specific and get examples. So create a sample product, for instance. If you want to sell lessons plans, and you just start creating one. And here again, you will overcreate. Go simple. Go just something that's useful to you, and even go for free and try to get people to get it from you and to give you some feedback. Do a free workshop. Your libraries, like we're doing one at the library on this subject, but a lot of the libraries will let you do free workshops, and a lot of the homeschool conventions and all will do that too. Think about Etsy. Teachers pay teachers. There's some of the platforms. If you want to go into you doing some services, there's Fiverr, or the big brother of Fiverr that's really more on the high-end professional level is Upwork, UP, and then Work, Upwork.com. So picking something. You could sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace, right? And you could be doing this in a few minutes. And that is exactly what I would be doing, is do something in a few minutes and see how it goes and keep pressing the gas pedal until you get a sense of this is going to work, or I need to adjust to this, or I don't like doing this. And a model that I have seen that's been pretty successful is keep at something that you like doing until it's made a certain dollar figure. And a friend of mine did this and said he would try a business idea until it made $100. Maybe it needs to be 1,000. I don't know. Pick something and say, until I've made a certain amount of money out of this, I'm not going to make a judgment about whether I'm going to keep doing this or not. I'm just going to keep going. Nobody cares that you're adjusting. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody's thinking you're a failure. You just move on. And you set small goals, and that's how I like a number goal or how many products I'm moving. Just it's a business and you have to stay at it. So, all right. So let me give you some examples. So, and now I'm a little well, I want to be cautious in giving some of these examples because these are examples that you probably all know of, but these are homeschooling moms mostly who spun out. We see Simply Charlotte Mason by Sonia Schaefer. And she was just putting out stuff, started sharing things in a blog, which is how a lot of these was started, and expanded into curriculums and guides, and is now, well-known. Classical Conversations by Lee Bortons, or I don't really know how to pronounce her name. Again, a homeschooling mom. Classical Conversations, that's pretty well-known everywhere. But just provided this, she founded this as a support system to homeschoolers doing classical education. Brave Writer by Julie Bogart, again, to help homeschooling moms teach writing creatively. And I don't know her story, but if I had to guess, she probably loves to write creatively. Heritage Letter by Julie Behrens. I didn't look that up. But anyway, homeschool, she created a subscription service for American history. So Teachers Pay Teachers Shops, I mentioned that multiple times. One particular one in there that spins out of homeschool is the Moffat Girls by Annie Moffat. Resources primarily for elementary reading, math, and designed pretty much for the homeschool. Obviously not limited to that. Then you got a couple of others. Confessions of a Homeschooler. Misty Winkler created Simplified Organization. Dynamic Homeschool Plus by Tina Robertson. Not Grass History by Ray. So Ray, this is one that I know at least the husband was involved in, Ray and Charlene Notgrass. And they've been doing that for a long time. Amy Roberts and Raising Arrows. And then one that, we don't always think of as the homeschooler, but Ray Drummond, the pioneer woman that's now on television show. Now, when I say I'm being cautious, because I'm mentioning a bunch of people that maybe have gotten well known in their niche, Ray Drummond even bigger than that. And it looks, if you're wanting to do something similar to what they would do, which would be perfect, it looks insurmountable. Don't worry about where they are or what they've done or the success or how many products they've got or where they're going for conferences. Look at where they started. They didn't start where they are now, and they just started doing something. They started providing a service. Remember, business, any kind of business you have is nothing but serving other people. And if you have people coming to you asking for your help on things, you can package this together and come up, and help people in their help people and pay them money. People are not shy about paying money for help. Money is our easy part in this culture. What's our hard part in this culture is time. So if you can save me time and help me get better results with my children, or help me get better results, or more entertaining results in homeschool, or help a corporation get faster results because you have some experience in accounting or whatever. Those kind of things, that's what people pay for. They're mostly paying for um, saving time. So these are the steps is just come up with some business idea you want to do, try to figure out how to niche it down. Another example I see in the niching down, let's talk to corporate world. I have a guy I work with that um, does work for healthcare, but he focuses only on dentists. So it's a smaller market. Actually, he could probably even get smaller than that and focus on an orthodontist or something like that. But he's focusing only on dentists, and I think in a certain region. So niche down. Niching is really a powerful technique to help you and to help you grow your sales. And then, of course, just you want to go out there and just take the first steps and get started. Now, many of you, and many times when I'm talking about this, a lot of people will come up and say, what about legal issues? Do I have to form some corporation? Do I have to do anything fancy on taxes? And they want to spend a whole lot of time on doing that, on logos. Forget all that. The legal issues are not a big deal. Legally in the United States, in almost every place in this country, the minute you start doing something, you are by definition a business, and it's just under your name. And when you get money in your pocket, some of it goes to the IRS, and on your IRS forms at the end of the year, it will say other business income. Just report it there. Just do report it. And as you get money coming in, you can start to formalize that a little bit better. You don't really need to do anything special accounting wise or legal wise, especially to get started. There's just no point in it, for the kinds of things we're talking about. In the course, we will talk about the details of how you do those things, how you go about them, but we're actually going to talk about that. It'll be later in the course because the first thing to do is get money coming in the door. And that's where the fun part should be. And that's the business. That's what you want to focus on. All right. We want to just focus on being done today and letting you guys get on with your day. So thank you so much for your time. If you have questions, always feel free to just shoot us an email at support@askdrcallahan.com. Have a good one. Thank you.